Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Latterline? He's thinking about going himself. Latterline and Latterline! Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
They want to Benjamin. Just holding off him. Benjamin twisting, turning, that's it to finish.
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Yes, hello, welcome back to Down the Slope. We are recording as usual on a Monday night, significantly later than normal, as Hibs have just fell to a rather uninspiring 1-0 defeat for the second time in the matter of weeks against Rangers. Harry, what is your initial takes on the game? It's just me and you tonight. What are we, about 20 minutes since full time?
Yeah, I think I think Gray got the team right, to be honest. I think the first half, I was very surprised to see it was 11 shots to 4 at halftime in favour of Rangers, because it didn't feel like Rangers done much about anything. But I thought we controlled the game entirely, quite similar to the two other times we've faced them. Something sloppy from one of the players outfield led to them just taking a pretty easy chance they carved up for themselves. And then after that, I said when we were chatting in the chat, I was just scared that we were going to massively plummet in our performance after we conceded, and that's just essentially what happened. The second half was as well not even taking place. We should have just called it at halftime. It was boring as fuck.
We've had a couple comments come in nice and early. Thank you for joining us already, Ewan and Delure. So Delure, evening lads, didn't think we played that bad, to be honest. And Ewan, most frustrating game I've watched from mainland Europe this season. Where's our end product? And Mike, fair play, wouldn't be wanting to talk about the game right now. Well, Mike, you know your good friend Mr. MacArthur. I have had to force him on to this podcast tonight, because when we say we're going to do something, more often than not we don't do it, but tonight we are. So here we are. No, I agree with. I was quite happy with the team lineup. I was quite excited actually to see LU in the starting 11. Seems like it might be more by default. I think they said Martin Boyle had like an illness and had hardly trained all week, and obviously Cleagy's only coming back from an injury. But thought Yuan was going to carry a threat. And I think the rest of the team probably picked itself, with Rocky not being available. And do you think that the team selection was sort of justified for that opening sort of half an hour? I think Rangers obviously had a really good chance from a corner early doors, but after that, I think Hibs really settled into the game and were probably the better team in the opening spell of the game.
I think we fully controlled the game, to be honest. It looked to me like Rangers would try to hit us on the counter-attack and get set pieces, because that's what they looked strong at in the first half anyway, because that's how I think they thought they were most likely going to get any form of decent chance. It's one of those, I think we set up well defensively, we looked strong in the middle of the park, we looked good, but in the final third it just feels like we struggled to create chances. I know it sounds weird because we actually scored a decent volume of goals, but
yeah.
I know Hora had a good chance at the back post, but apart from that, in the first half, even though we were on top of the game, did we have any real chances?
No, it was definitely a moment's first half, wasn't it? And a sort of, if the final ball's better, you're in, or you're getting into good positions, and I think that's the frustration that we've ultimately now felt in all 3 games against Rangers this season. 3 games, no goals scored, 3 defeats, conceded 5. And on the balance of playing all 3 games, you're probably coming away from it thinking there wasn't much in that, but ultimately we've managed to shoot ourselves in the foot. The goal at Easter Road was self-inflicted. The goals against them in the cup weren't great, and then tonight, I don't necessarily think tonight's goals are. I don't think I don't think there's any glaring mistakes defensively. It's just it's one poor organisation from a second phase of a corner, which you can see quite often. But another real frustrating goal to lose at a time of the game. I think probably at a period of the game where we were massively on top, and I think I'm in the minority. I think O'Hara simply has to score. I think he sees the ball come over Butland and sort of just lets it hit him to get on target. I don't think he actually really could be. That could be really harsh. I just think he should probably do a bit better. I just think it kind of hits him and falls towards the goal, and whereas if it goes in there with any sort of pace, it's a goal, and Hibs are 1-0 up. It's a really between it's two headers, two centre halves, two headers, and it's ultimately what decides the game, Harry. And it's a really disappointing way to go about it. What did you make of the second half? What followed after that?
I just didn't really make anything of it, mate. To be honest, as I say, we didn't really look like we were up to anything. It wasn't even like we looked deflated. We just looked a bit lost, and it's like not completely hound and grey, but it's not the first time this season that he's made subs and the teams look significantly worse after it. I just think that, especially the midfield structure, like I just think the players looked lost afterwards. We didn't really I think first half, we retained the ball pretty well. We're moving it around well, and we looked like we could get decent crosses into the box. But it seemed like we went far more direct in the second half than we did in the first half. And for me, I don't know. It was disappointing because I literally said even after we conceded, if we kept up the standard of play that we're conducting, I think we had a good chance of getting something into the game. But it just took the sting out of us, didn't it? We just
I think the second half was dreadful. So it was a complete non-event. We didn't look like scoring at any point in time. I don't think we played with any urgency, really. I think when you are trying to chase a game and you make the subs to chase a game, you would expect that to bring a level of energy that just wasn't there. Unfortunately, it was a really disappointing second half. It was, for me, the exact same as what we've seen at Ibrox in the cup. It reminded me of Motherwell away as well, where I felt like the team looked a defeated side in the second half. I know for Park there was obviously 2 goals and a red card to overcome, but the second half just unfortunately felt like it's passed us by, and that's, I think, becoming too much of a trend in this season. And I can't really think of the subs, any of them, making a real impact on the game, unfortunately, which, when you're chasing a game, that's what you need. And I'm not, I don't think any of the subs were necessarily wrong, though. Do you know, it's just, that's why I've seen some criticism of, the manager, how we set up and whatnot, but I think the subs made sense. I think the team made sense, and he doesn't control. I mean, we were having a debate sort of at half time around what was working well in the midfield and what wasn't working well. And you were very much in the camp of McGrath and Mulligan are getting into the situation. The final ball's just not there. Whereas I'm sort of like, but that is quite literally what they're in the team for. And and I agree. It's just not clicking. And I don't think that comes back on the manager or the setup or the shape. Like on another night, you do probably capitalise on them a little bit more. But it is becoming a bit of a worrying trend, isn't it? We're second top goal scorers in the league, or at least we were coming into the weekend. But it also feels like, I don't know about you, but it feels like you can tell quite early in a game if Hibs aren't going to score. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we're quite good at dismantling the shite in the league.
I think it's one of those ones, and part of the reason as well is I find it's so difficult to judge a Hibs side based off how we play against Rangers. Like at the start of the season, I'm not looking at Ibrox as a place I'm expecting to come and pick up 3 points. We had a really good performance against Falkirk, battered them 3-0, came to Ibrox. Probably should have taken the lead in the first half hour just with how much on top of the game we were. We concede 1 goal and then we kind of recline into ourselves, lose any form of belief, and just kind of deflate from there. I'll judge us much more harshly on the next 2 games that are coming up than I will after this one. Because I know this is a shit Rangers team, but it's still Rangers at Ibrox. So I know the performance wasn't good enough, but I just can't be bothered getting myself beat up about Hibs. And tonight's just not the night I'm going to do it.
So I do understand what you're saying. Like, it certainly feels like a miss after we played this Rangers side 3 times and not scored a goal. It absolutely does. Leave a sour taste in your mouth, doesn't it? For sure. I think that's where it. But I think ultimately there's a wider issue for me, and there is a bit of a trend coming, which is disappointing. Like, we have played the teams that are above us in the league. You know, we played Motherwell once, played Rangers twice, 3 times in all competitions, Celtic twice, Hearts once. We've not scored a goal from open play in any of the games. That is a bit of a concern to me, and that, you know, in the games we maybe, you know, off the top of my head, probably created like one good chance in all of them. You know, like O'Hora tonight, Boyle missed a good chance in the cup game at Ibrox. We had a penalty saved against Rangers at Easter Road. Boyle hits the bar at Tynecastle with a good chance, and obviously he rounded the goalkeeper at Motherwell as well. I think O'Hora had a good chance as well, actually, at Celtic Park. But, you know, you're not really coming away from any of the games where we've not scored, and it's just that all of them have just felt a bit meh. Like, I don't think you've come away from any of the games thinking we were absolutely dreadful in any of them, but you're probably lying to yourself if you were coming away from them saying we probably should have got more from them as well. And that's a really weird position to be in. Like, I think you can say tonight, had we drawn, it would have been fine, but ultimately we didn't do enough with the ball. We didn't create enough chances, and Rangers took one of their chances, and obviously they could have had a couple later on. Like, what do you sort of make of this Hibs side in these sort of bigger games this season against the sides above us in the league?
It's hard because obviously the easy comparison is like, what are we missing that we had last year that we don't have this year?
Mm-hmm.
And I think even performance-wise, I don't even think the performances are always off.
No,
it's the type of thing I think at some point it's just bound to click. Like, I think, for instance, Mulligan, I don't think he had a bad game and he done the exact types of things that I want him to do and I want him to keep doing. But I just felt like the final ball wasn't coming off. I think McGrath, I know you didn't think he had a particularly good game, but even that like chip over the top for Yuan, if Yuan connects, that's like one of the best. We're going to laud that as one of the best assists we've seen in a Hibs top. Like, and then Yuan, like, he carries a threat, but I just don't think what he was trying. Like, there was a couple of touches there. It was just like, he doesn't normally take that heavy touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
I think the three of them sort of epitomise it. I think in the first half, on another day, between them, McGrath, Mulligan, and Yuan probably combine, you know, for a goal or two. And it's just, that's what almost makes you like that. It's a difficult one to process in your head of. So we've got into the moments, we've not capitalised on them. It's a good thing and a bad thing, because it's hard to be super critical of the defence. You've conceded a goal, a goal. I don't think you're allowed to concede goals, but then it's hard to be critical of the attacking players because the volume of goals that we have scored this season. So it feels to me, I mean, Chris came in there on the chat there and said about lacking a little bit of belief, and that probably does ring true to me, Harry. Maybe you're talking about what's different from last season. I think we went into every game at the second half of last season expecting to win, and I just amn't sure that they're carrying that same self-belief right at this moment in time.
I don't know what the fix is for that, to be honest, because obviously, like, as soon as
it's getting results, isn't it?
Yeah, confidence breeds confidence, doesn't it? Like, it's a good couple of games coming up that hopefully we can make some magic happen, though. I think if you can get 4 points at the next two, I think you're going into the new year with a bit of momentum behind you. But if you fail to pick up many points, then this kind of mundane, wire Hibs, like, frustrating turns into wire Hibs shit very quickly. So I think it is important that we do start to turn some results around.
Yeah, I mean, myself and Liam spoke about it on last week's podcast after the Falkirk game about sort of the fixtures that we have over the festive period, and as it so often is, it's the league maybe starts to stretch out a little bit over this sort of next 6 weeks or so. The games come a bit quicker, and you are very much getting into the second half of the season. Sort of by the time you come into sort of mid-January, if I was to push you for a prediction right now, or just a feeling in terms of where you see this Hibs side following tonight's game, where are you in terms of like sort of maybe league position and what you think we'll do going forward?
As I say, I'm not going to let tonight sway me at all. I think Hibs will finish third. There you go. Hearts are going to have an absolute bottle job, and we're still going to finish above them despite the massive point differential. But yeah, I think we'll be in that probably like I'll be optimistic and say 3 to 6 pack, although it's probably more likely to be like 4th to 7th pack of teams that are kind of chasing in that and around that area at the moment. But yeah, it's frustrating. But as I say, like one off half at Ibrox isn't going to make me think that the season's completely doomed after how positive I felt after Falkirk.
Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, that's. I to be fair, I still think we are competing in that 4th to 6th range, which is sort of where I've been for the majority of the season. There's not a thought in my mind that Hibs will drop out of the top 6. That's it's not something that sits in my head at all. And I didn't see anything tonight that would change that. Look, I know we're obviously level with Aberdeen and 6th, who now have a game in hand on us. And we've only got a 3-point cushion to the team in 7th. But I fully expect Hibs to win more games than they don't against those below us in the league. That's and if it ultimately the deciding factor will be how we perform against those above us. And I know that's you're obviously saying it's Rangers and you don't necessarily judge your season on it, but ultimately that was the team that were directly above us in the league tonight aren't pulling up any trees, and it was an opportunity, and we've had 3 opportunities against them this season to put a marker down, and we failed to do so. It is hilarious though, for all we say about Rangers, they've actually only lost 1 league game this season. I know they've drawn 8 games, but it was a very frustrating evening all in all, Harry, and we'll come on to talk about Dundee United later in the week, but a team that aren't informed, but it's always a tricky game, to go up there and win. We done that last season in convincing fashion on the score line, shall we say, but maybe not so convincing fashion on the evening. But it does feel like a real big one, doesn't it? Much like maybe the Falkirk game did after the back defeats going into that.
Aye, it's as I say, I think we just need to get a bit of momentum about us. I would expect that the club's probably got some January signings imminent, just with us having a few gaps with players hopefully going on to have a good competition at AFCON. So yeah, it should be in theory an exciting 4 weeks ahead with a couple of big wins, a couple of big signings, or probably loan signings to help fill the gaps. But yeah, should be an interesting thing with some things that can get us a bit more upbeat and positive than what we.
I know it's just like, and it'll sound like it definitely won't be coming across well to those that have decided to tune in live to us, as opposed to listening to Sports Sound or Clyde Super Scoreboard or whatever the game has been on the radio, or if you're listening back on podcast or YouTube, it's probably very flat. But it's just a weird feeling, isn't it? When because it just, that game just didn't invoke much emotion, did it? Do you know, that's it just it was and that's almost worse. Is it? Where you're just I just feel like I lost an hour and a half watching that, and I'm just disappointed that we've not angry, and just disappointed. I'm just like, there's nothing to be angry about. Hibs are still going to be absolutely fine, but maybe we're not going to have. It's just like you're starting to maybe get some doubts that maybe we're just not going to hit the heights that maybe we did last year as well. Do you think that's fair?
I think, being honest, mate, the frustrating thing is I don't think squad-wise we're far off what we were last year, but I think the league around us is a lot worse, and we're not taking advantage. I think that's the main, if we had the momentum that we carried last year, I think the fact that we can have that in our heads of what could we have actually done to this league, I don't know if that's the same for everyone, but for me, that's kind of what the frustration is. Like, in a typical season, us being Hibs fans, we've seen so many relegations, we've seen so many shite, pointless bottom 6 seasons. Like, we're looking, in my opinion, quite solid to finish top 6 this year and probably get a European spot. But just because of the highs of last season, it's hard not to compare, especially when Celtic and Rangers are abysmal. So that's probably the main frustration for me. And then obviously when the scum are top of the league, it definitely doesn't help matters.
Of course, yeah, and it's just an incredible. We've not had any consistent run of form this season.
Yeah,
6 wins, 6 draws, 5 defeats. Hibs, it's just been it's just so frustrating to be sort of in mid-December and just feel like we've not put that run of form together yet. But like there's still ample opportunity for that to come in the second half of the season. Harry, myself and Liam, we went off on a tangent about penalties last week, and I think it went down quite well. And so Chris has asked if we can talk throw-ins. Do you want to talk throw-ins with me, my friend?
Sure. What do you call it? I like long throw-ins, but I don't like. I don't think that Warren O'Hora throws it far enough to be effective.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're taking long throws with nobody capable of actually taking a long throw.
Yeah, because when was the last time we scored from a long throw? Ryan Port just away to Ross County. Have we scored one since?
Oh no, we must have surely. I feel like last season something in my head.
Lewis Miller maybe just because he could proper launch it. I feel Iredale's not bad. I think Iredale's got a longer throw than O'Hora.
Do you know what? It just Chris's point's very fair. Launching it in and never win the first contact. It just I have no issue with a long throw. I think you've seen it across football that it's an effective tactic. Make defenders defend, but only much like a corner or a free kick or anything. The delivery of it has to be right, and I don't think a sort of loopy ball into the relevant first, third, or quadrant of the box is really causing anyone too many problems. And you've got to get that sort of flat or deep trajectory where a little bit of uncertainty and it only takes one bounce and it ends up in the back of the net or that. But yeah, I just I'm not sure. I'm not sure about them now, and I think I would be quite comfortable with seeing the long throw put to bed for a little while. We have just had a couple wee comments come in, and if you don't mind, Harry, I know you're itching to go to bed on this Monday evening, but I think it's only right that we recognise those that have joined us at short notice. So Cam's come in and said, long throws never work, take ages to take the shorter ones, barely any movement does my boxing. I think if you listen to any Hibs fan, whether they are 70 years old or 10 years old, they would tell you that Hibs are shite at throw-ins and always have been. I don't know about you, but I recall losing my shit when we scored from a quick throw-in at Dundee away under Hecky, and they scored 4-2.
Nice.
That was very. Other comments that have come in, iGolf saying Gray's just garbage this season. Sorry, I just fully disagree with that. Sorry, I'm not going to not recognise your point. It's not my stance, and I just don't have any reason to believe it personally. Where are you on that, Harry? Much the same.
Yeah, and if you want to bring up the what do you call it, Kevin Maddox one, just because it's relevant as well. I don't think that Gray's under any form of pressure at the moment, and I'm not going to kind of entertain the discussion
I don't know what
yet.
And like what are you talking like as well? Like backwards, like it's December. We are 5 points off of third. We are 3 points off of fourth. Like it's not like we're sitting 10th in the league. Like I'd be keen to get Kev's or Kev's or iGolf's sort of maybe follow up if they're still with us. I'm not sure. Obviously iGolf's highlighted their 6 games against Old Firm and Hearts, 1 goal from a penalty. We did touch on that earlier. Look, that's not good enough. That's simple, but I don't think that you can judge a manager's capability on purely on 6 games out of 17. Well, what about the other 11? But also, what about his first season in charge, where we went to Ibrox and won, where we beat Hearts home and away, where we won at Pittodrie like we have this season. So, we just put 3 goals past Falkirk, who were sitting in the top 6 last week. So it's just not where I'm at. But do you know what? I totally respect the concerns, especially in these sort of Hearts and Old Firm games. Yeah, I think Harry, I don't. Yeah, and Kev's just highlighted maybe what we touched on earlier around. I don't necessarily think being fearless. Maybe I just think it's more a confidence thing, like we mentioned earlier. I just think last year we were very much on the crest of a wave, and we were sort of bundling into every game, and momentum's a massive thing in football. I tell you something. over the next 3 games, we've got a hell of a chance to really get some momentum back on our side as well. You know, with obviously Dundee United, Hearts and Aberdeen all coming up in just over, was it about a week and a half and sort of 10 days, 10-day in a 10-day period. Would it shock you, Harry, if we came out of them with 9 points? I wouldn't be too shocked. I think we're capable of it. I think we're also capable of 0, but we're definitely capable. So we'll wait and see. But look, I know you're desperate to go, Harry. I think we have done well to get 25 minutes out of this. So I think we'll wrap it there if there's no more chats coming in. And yeah, we will be back later in the week to maybe digest that just a little bit more, see if anything else. Kev just says he thinks we've got a better squad than last season. Dwight Gillapart. I agree, Kev. I agree. I do think we've got a better squad as well. However, there is definitely some things that need to be improved on in January. But yeah, we'll be back later in the week looking ahead to Dundee United, and it will likely be potentially a derby preview as well, just with the sort of time of year and whatnot, but we will figure that out and let you guys know. But thank you very much all for joining us, and I hope you all enjoy this listening back. Cheers.
Bye.